At 48 years old, I carry a map in my mind. It's not a perfect map. The details are fuzzy. But I know the feeling of unfolding a large paper sheet, the crinkle, the struggle to refold it. I know the frustration of a missing street and the triumph of finding my way anyway. For my children, that feeling is a legend, a story from before time. Their map is a blinking blue dot on a glass screen. It talks, it reroutes. It never allows them to be lost, and so it never allows them to truly find their way. For over 2 decades, I've designed systems for learning and thinking, and I've become obsessed with a single quiet crack running through our modern world. We are raising the most capable online generation in history, and potentially the least capable offline generation in history. This isn't about fear. It's not about smashing smartphones. It's about a simple, observable gap. On one side, skills that are innate to me. Navigating, waiting, deciphering, fixing with what's on hand, sitting with not knowing. On the other side, a generation for whom search is a button, lost is an error message, and patience is a loading bar. This gap isn't their fault. It's the natural result of a world we built for them. But here's the uncomfortable truth. It is our responsibility to bridge it. Because tools fail, networks go dark, power grids flicker, and in that sudden silence, what remains is not what you know about an interface, but what you know about everything else. This is episode 1 of a series called Offline, Building a Resilient Person in a Digital World. Over the next episodes, we'll go layer by layer. We'll talk about the anxiety of life without AI making our decisions. We'll check what vanishes when we lose the internet, not just cat videos, but our sense of direction and community. And we'll get practical about the fundamental skills for life without technology. But today we start with the map, the perfect metaphor. My story isn't special. If you're over, say, 35, you have a version of it. You remember driving somewhere new, the passenger seat holding the unfolded map. You remember calling a friend's house landline and getting a busy signal. You remember not knowing the answer to something and that question just living in your head for days until you could get to a library. That wasn't hardship, that was cognitive training. We were building mental muscles our children aren't. The muscle of spatial reasoning, turning 2D lines into a 3D world in your head. The muscle of tolerance for ambiguity, being okay with not knowing right now. The muscle of contingency planning, having a plan B because you couldn't just instantly recalculate route B. When we outsource all of that to a device, we don't just outsource a task. We outsource a piece of our agency, our capability to act in the world. And that's the real gap. It's not a knowledge gap, it's an agency gap. So if you're a parent, an educator, or just someone who feels this weird tension, that we're more connected and more fragile at the same time, this series is for you. My goal here isn't to sell you on a dystopia. It's the opposite. It's to argue for empowerment. Real, durable, unhackable empowerment. The kind that lives in your mind and your hands, not in your cloud storage. It's to give you a framework, not just fears, a playbook. Because the goal isn't to prepare our kids for the end of the world. It's to prepare them for all the worlds, the digital one they live in, and the physical one that will always ultimately be underneath it. In our next episode, we dive into the first and most subtle layer, life without AI. We'll explore how predictive algorithms are shaping not just what we see, but how we think, and what happens to our own judgment, curiosity, and intuition when we lean on them too much. We'll have a fascinating conversation about rebuilding that inner guide. For now, I have a small ask for you, a tiny experiment. Sometime before our next conversation, create a moment of intentional disconnection. It could be as simple as asking your family a question at dinner and forbidding anyone from looking it up. Just live with the debate, the guesses, the I don't know. Notice what it feels like. That feeling, that itch, that uncertainty is the very edge of the gap we're talking about. And crossing it starts right there. This is Offline. If this idea resonates with you, please follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Share it with one person who thinks about these things